Welcome to Spectrum News at 10. I am Emedion James, coming to you live from Uyo. Let's take a look at today's major headlines. President Tinubu urges Senate to amend Constitution for State Police. DSS captures 6 suspects in Owo church attack. Plus, Sweden to increase deportations of convicted immigrant. We'll bring you details of the stories and more in just a moment. Please stay tuned. Many thanks for staying tuned. We begin the news at 10 from a national scene where President Bola Tinubu has formally urged the Senate to begin the process of amending the 1999 Constitution to provide for the establishment of state police, declaring that Nigeria must urgently restructure its security architecture to confront terrorism, banditry and insurgency. Speaking at an interfaith breaking of fast with leadership and members of the Senate at the State House, Abuja, the president said the time had come for lawmakers to start thinking about embedding state policing in the Constitution to enable government at subnational levels better secure their territories. The president's latest appeal adds momentum to a campaign he has sustained since early in his administration. Recall that in February 2024, during an emergency meeting with the 36 state governors at the State House, Tinubu approved the creation of a joint committee of federal and state representatives to explore modalities for establishing state police, insisting that the country must move aggressively to improve security of lives and property. Meanwhile, President Bola Tinubu has charged the Acting Inspector General of Police, Olatunji Disu, to tackle banditry, terrorism and other security challenges plaguing the nation. The President issued the directive yesterday during Disu's declaration as the Acting IGP following the retirement of Kayode Ekpetukun. President Tinubu said Disu's appointment comes at a critical moment, urging him to rebuild public confidence in the police capacity to do their job in collaboration with other security forces. President Tinubu urged Disu to advance the security pillars of his administration's renewed hope agenda. He expressed confidence in the acting IGP's discipline, operational experience and leadership capacity. In a related development, the Acting Inspector General of Police, Olatunji Disu, has pledged to anchor his tenure on professionalism, accountability and community partnership. Disu also assured President Bola Tinubu of his resolve to reposition the Nigerian police force for greater efficiency and public trust. The 23rd Inspector General made the commitment shortly before the immediate past 22nd Indigenous IGP, Kayode Ekpetukun, formally handed over leadership of the force. Disu was first presented with the Nigerian national flag, followed by the flag of the NPF. Both officers had arrived at the force headquarters in Abuja at about 4:15 p.m., addressing senior officers and other stakeholders. Disu acknowledged the weight of responsibility placed on him, stating that the task ahead requires diligence and measurable results. From the Red Chambers, the Senate Committee on Tertiary Institutions and Tax Fund yesterday met with officials of the Joint Admissions and Matriculations Board, JAM, raising concerns over examination charges, system failures, and access to the tertiary education, particularly for students in rural communities. During the session, Senator Amos Yohana, PDP/Adamawa North, faulted what he described as mounting financial burdens on students amid prevailing economic hardship. Yohana questioned the justification for the fees the board is charging candidates, noting that many families are struggling with poverty. Lawmakers also highlighted recent technical challenges experienced by candidates while attempting to log into JAMS portal, asking the board to outline measures being taken to make the system more seamless and user-friendly for prospective students. The committee chairman, Mohammed Dangduse, APC Kasina South, urged JAM to improve coordination within the tertiary admission process, underpinning that each year students encounter difficulties securing admission into universities and other higher institutions due to lack of synergy among stakeholders. On financial crime, the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission has arraigned 3 senior officials of the Nigerian Railway Corporation before the Lagos State High Court sitting in Ikeja over alleged fraud, corruption, and money laundering amounting to over 2.4 billion naira. The defendants are Felix Njoku, a former director of finance of the NRC, Benjamin Chinwuba, currently a director in the corporation's procurement department, and Oche Jerry, director of mechanical. They were docked before different judges of the Special Offences Court on separate charges bordering on abuse of office, unlawful enrichment, and corruption. Njoku was arraigned before Justice Olubumi Abike on a 17-count charge involving an alleged 736.8 million naira fraud. EFCC alleged that Njoku, trading under the name FC Njoku and Company, after leaving office as Director of Finance between January 2nd and December 3rd, 2024, received 240.9 million naira from NRC contractors through a bank account linked to contracts awarded during his tenure. On security, operatives of the Department of State Services (DSS) have arrested the 6th person allegedly involved in a 2022 attack on St. Francis Catholic Church in Owu, Ondo State, in which over 40 worshippers lost their lives and scores were injured. The DSS is currently prosecuting 5 persons: Idris Omezia, 25 years, Al Qasim Idris, 20, Jimmy Abdulmalik, 26, Abdulhalim Idris, 25, and Momo Abubakar, 47, for allegedly carrying out acts of terrorism. For nearly 4 years, the 6th suspect reportedly evaded arrest, making him one of the most wanted fugitives in the country. A security source disclosed that DSS operatives, who had been on his trail for years, arrested a suspect identified as Sani Youssef in the Ikoza community along power line in Ovia Northeast local government area of Edo State. According to the source, Youssef, described as a high-profile commander of the Islamic State West African province, temporarily fled to Kano after the Owo church attack before relocating to the community in Edo State. The source further disclosed that Youssef had since confessed to his involvement in the planning and execution of the Owo church attack. Let's move now to Africa, where Egypt said that 18 of its citizens were still missing after a migrant boat capsized, killing 4 people off the Greek island of Greta last week. Reports say the wooden boat was carrying 50 people, including 4 minors, when Greece Coast Guard were alerted last Friday. Greek authorities then directed a commercial vessel to the area for a rescue operation. According to Greek public broadcasters, an accident occurred when the commercial vessel approached the migrant boat. As the passengers tried to climb up ladders into the rescued vessel, a sudden movement caused the wooden boat to capsize. Egypt's foreign ministry said that 21 Egyptians were on board the boat when it capsized, 3 of whom had been found dead while the rest remained missing. Still in Africa, DR Congo government forces launched an attack on M23 armed group in the country's east, using drones to strike a strategic mining site occupied by the Rwanda-backed rebels. According to report, the fighting yesterday was concentrated in particular areas near the mining town of Rubaya, where M23 soldiers were hit by a drone strike the previous day. The Rubaya mine produces 15 to 30% of the world's supply of coltan, key to making electronics like laptops and mobile phones. Since its resurgency in 2021, the M23 had taken vast strength of the DRC's resource-rich east, capturing the Rubaya mine in North Kivu province in April 2024 with Rwanda's help. On the foreign scene, Sweden's government has said it wanted to drastically increase the number of immigrants deported after being convicted, saying any crime with a penalty higher than a fine should lead to a deportation as a rule. The new bill would introduce several measures to increase deportations of criminals, including an obligation for prosecutors to request deportation as part of sentencing rather than leaving it up to prosecutors to decide. The government said they believe the new legislation would lead to about 3,000 deportations per year, 6 times the current average of about 500 per year. The bill will first be sent to Sweden's Council on Legislation, which scrutinizes the bill, the government intends to put before Parliament. So on the foreign scene, Cuban soldiers killed 4 people and wounded 6 others aboard a Florida-registered speedboat that had entered Cuban waters and opened fire on the soldiers first. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio told reporters that he was made aware of the incident and that the U.S. is now gathering its own information to determine if the victims were American citizens or permanent residents. Rubio said while at the airport in Bassetera, St. Kitts, where he was attending a regional summit with Caribbean leaders. U.S. President Donald Trump's top diplomat refused to speculate on what happened, saying that it could be a wide range of things and that the U.S. would not solely rely on what the Cuban authorities have provided thus far. Cuba's government said 1 Cuban officer was injured, 4 suspects killed, and 6 others injured. Still to come in the news. Osimhen nets decisive goal as Galatasaray eliminates Juventus. Searching for details of this in just a moment. Many thanks for staying tuned. Now let's go over to the concluding part of today's stories. On our business news, Dangote Petroleum Refinery has announced plans to expand beyond crude processing into a fully integrated industrial hub, unveiling 5 major projects that aim to transform Africa's manufacturing landscape. The project encompasses the ambitious expansion plan of 400 tons linear alkaline benzene plant to support detergent manufacturing across the continent. Addressing journalists during a tour of the refinery, Managing Director and Chief Executive David Bird said that such dependency is about to change. Bird pointed out that Africa currently imports 100% of its detergents and cleaning agents ingredients. According to him, the project is expected to drastically reduce import dependency and ensure that Africa and the region can source cleaning agents ingredients locally. Still in business, the Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of the Niger Delta Power Holding Company, Jennifer Adijije, has urged the federal government to remove electricity subsidies for all customers and implement fully cost-reflective tariffs to restore financial stability in Nigeria's power sector. Adejide made the call in a statement made available to reporters in Abuja. The MD, while highlighting deep-rooted structural and liquidity challenges constraining the performance of the electricity market, advocated the decoupling of government subsidies from electricity tariffs and the gradual implementation of fully cost-reflective tariffs across all customs segments. According to her, establishing a financially viable electricity market is essential for restoring investor confidence, attracting private sector participation, and ensuring sustainable sector growth. In health, the Kwara State government has reiterated its commitment to ending female genital mutilation in the state, calling for a coordinated, multi-sectoral strategy as it reviews its 2026 to 2030 action plan on the harmful practice. In a statement issued by the press secretary of the ministry, Iyanu Lawal, the Commissioner for Women Affairs, Okpayemi Oluwa Kemi, met the call during a stakeholders review meeting in Ilorin. Represented by the Director of Personnel, Finance and Supply, Rashid Ubadiwaki, the Commissioner said the state government remained resolute in its determination to eradicate female genital mutilation and other harmful social practices against women and children. Still in health, researchers at the Nigerian Institute of Medical Research, Yaba, Lagos, have raised fresh concerns over the growing threat of antimicrobial resistance, warning that infections are increasingly becoming resistant to some of the most potent antibiotics available in hospitals. The researchers said recent findings from surveillance activities in Lagos State revealed alarming levels of resistance to third-generation cyclosporins, which are drugs typically reserved for severe infections that fail to respond to earlier treatment. Highlighting the scope of the work, a NIMR senior researcher, Dr. Imelda Chukwu, explained that one of their major contributions focused on improving AMR monitoring systems within the state healthcare network. Speaking while briefing journalists during the NIMR February media chat, Chukwu, who is a lead researcher, said that the team structured a comprehensive survey built around 4 healthcare facilities selected in Lagos as sentinel sites. In sports, Galatasaray striker Victor Osimhen scored a decisive goal for his team as they eliminated Juventus from the Champions League on Wednesday night. The Turkish champions traveled to Turin with a comfortable 5-2 advantage from the first leg, but it was the hosts who took control of the second leg. Manuel Locatilis' penalties in the 34th minute gave Juventus the lead before Federico Gatti doubled the advantage in the 70th minute. Weston McKennie's late header forced the game into extra time. As the first half ended, Victor Osimhen got on the end of a pass to put Galatasaray ahead in the tie again. Paris Alpin confirmed their qualification for the last 16 with a breakaway goal. Still in sport, captain Rasheedat Ajibade forward Gift Monday, Christy Uchebe, alongside 8 others have arrived at the Super Falcons camp in Yaoundé, Cameroon, ahead of the 2-match friendly with the host. Reports say Mary Akinsola, the media officer of the team, yesterday said that the team will be training at the Stade Omnisport Abidjan as more players continue to arrive. According to Akinsola, all the players who have arrived include Canada-based Ngozi Okobi, Israeli-based Glory Ogbonna, Joy Omewa, who plies her trade with Nottingham Forest in England, others are Madrid-based Esther Onyenyenze, Fatima Okolu from Abia Angels, FC Robbers Favor Nkwocha, Tanzania-based Precious Christopher, and Oluwatosin Demehi, who plays for Galatasaray Sportive in Turkey. The doubleheader will be played on Saturday and Tuesday, March 3rd, both in Yaoundé. On entertainment news, an Ikeja High Court has fixed April 16 to deliver its ruling in a suit filed by Nigerian pastor Dr. Chris Okafor against Nollywood actress Doris Ogala, social media influencer Martins Otis, popularly known as Very Dark Man, and Kelvin Emmanuel. Okafor instituted a suit joining Ogala, Otis, and Emmanuel as first, second, and third defendants respectively. When the matter came up yesterday before Justice Akintunde Savage, counsel to the claimant Ife Ajayi, informed the court that all the defendants had been duly served in line with the proof of service issued by the court sheriffs. Ajayi subsequently sought an extension of time within which to regularize certain preliminary processes. However, counsel to the first defendant, Nzeko Atuloma, drew the court's attention to a notice of preliminary objection dated January 29, 2026. And that's all we have for you at this time. To ensure to follow us on social media, subscribe to our YouTube channel, all of which you can find on our website at spectrumtvlive.ng. You have been watching Spectrum News at 10. Do enjoy the rest of the day. Bye for now.